Good evening and hello everyone. Welcome to the Understanding Behavior live stream. Tonight we've got a great topic. We are going to talk about verbal behavior. We're going to talk about a little bit about Skinner's verbal behavior. There's also like a mini history lesson at the beginning of this, so definitely stay tuned for the beginning. I've also got a bunch of tricky scenario questions at the end of this presentation, so stay tuned for that to get that additional practice feedback that those practice opportunities are the best types of learning opportunities for studying for the exam, so stay tuned to the end to see those. How is everybody doing tonight? Show me in chat, how's everyone doing? How's the week going? If you have something cool or fun that has been going on this week, I would also love to know that, if you could throw that into chat. Something cool or fun that's been happening on the understanding behavior end, you can tell I'm already getting a little giddy about it, is that there has been, I put the final period on the final question for the mini mock packages that are coming out next week. So I still have a little bit of edits to go through, and then I'm going to be setting up a new platform for everybody to access the mock exams on, but I am really excited to release this product. A little bit about the mock exams as well. So the mock exam that I have out right now, the Beat the Beast mock exam, I wrote this one to kind of be difficult, but also be kind of fair and related to a lot of the topics that are on the exam. So so one new thing that I'm going to be doing for my questions is that I'm going to be putting difficulty ratings either on the question sets or on the questions themselves. So overall, I would probably rate the difficulty of this mock exam that is already out as a 3.5, maybe 4. I know I mark it as a difficult one, but the mock exams, the mini mock packages that are going to be coming out, I would call these more like 4. Some of these questions are 5s, I would say. And 5s, not in the way that it's oh, I'm testing concepts that you've never heard of. It's more about a 4 or 5 in the way of I'm going to talk about simple concepts, but I'm going to test really deep things. So yeah, I'm talking about out of a 5-point scale, not a 10-point scale. Thanks for that, Leslie. So anyway, I'm really excited to get these new mocks out for you guys. They're going to be really fun. Stay tuned next week. They will be out for you to consume, purchase, and all of that jazz. So yeah, look forward to that. Sweet. AC from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yes, I actually went to Western Michigan for my undergraduate and my master's degree. So welcome. I'm very glad to have you here. Good old KZoo represent. I haven't been there in years. I love that town though. AC, are you at Western Michigan? I'm curious because that is the behavior analysis hub. Yeah, I went to WAV as well. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, let's get into our topic for today. We're going to be talking about verbal behavior. This is a really fun topic. Sometimes verbal behavior, a lot of people see it as an easy topic on the exam. In some ways, it can be pretty easy. We're not going to get into way complex scenarios today, so we're not going to talk about tag extensions or autoclinics. I'm sorry if that's what you're looking for. We are going to focus on the main relevant things that you need to know to master verbal behavior and understand verbal behavior from a functional standpoint instead of just a topographical standpoint. So again, thank you guys all for being here. Here is our agenda for today. First, we're going to talk about what is verbal behavior. Then we'll do a little comparison of form versus function. We'll also talk about verbal versus vocal behavior. That's a very easy thing to mix up. Then we'll talk about audience versus speaker roles and also the framing of a verbal contingency. Then we'll go into a breakdown of each of our verbal operants. In that, we'll also talk about formal similarity and point-to-point correspondence. We'll talk about ways that the exam is going to try to trick you, and then I'm going to try to trick you on a quiz and see if I can do it. That's not the point. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we have 21 viewers here. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys could just push that like button really fast, it is a huge support for the channel. Easy, free way to help out. Okay, let's see. So we are going to talk about verbal behavior. Here is Skinner's definition. So this is pulled from the 1957 textbook here. The original edition has like kind of more like the standard look. This is a newer version. But verbal behavior, he defines as behavior reinforced through the mediation of other persons. So essentially, this means that the consequence, the reinforcement, is provided by somebody else. Really, that's all that really defines verbal behavior. And then he expands on that, but these other persons must be responding in ways which have been conditioned precisely in order to reinforce the behavior of the speaker. So this is where he kind of like links in like that back and forth communication where there is a history of reinforcement that has very precisely shaped up these particular behaviors. But really, this is the meat of it, is you want to focus on behavior that's mediated through other persons, and then this is kind of like the extension of that. Let's talk about function versus form of language. Let's get in that. So let's see in chat, what do you guys think is the difference between function and form of language? Anybody want to give that a go? What do you think? Don't be shy. The cool kids wanted to tell it. So again, difference between form and function of language. Who wants to give that a go? And it's really similar to like form and function of a behavior. Good. Okay, so yeah, Alexis is saying function would be the effect on the environment. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then form would be like topography. Yeah, Alexis, perfect. Getting all the cool points right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, if Amy's saying like the form is like either like sign or writing or talking, we'll talk a little bit about that. So that's part of the form. So let's get it down here. Thanks so much for everybody responding, Amy and Alexis. So form is what the behavior looks like. So it's like the topography. This is the type of verbal utterance, so it can include like a speech, sign, text, or icon. So if I show you like a picture of a car, then you might like go start the car, for example. That'd be an example of a verbal behavior. Or I could say go start the car. That'd be like a vocal stimulus that would be a verbal utterance. The other thing is, though, is that the form actually has to be the same as well. So this includes like the same words, the same phonemes, and the same grammar as well. So when we're talking about like responses having the same form, it's not just that they're both vocal, for example. It's that they are vocal and the same thing. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later when we get into formal similarity. All right, Joe Arlene, good to see you here. Joe Arlene is saying function has the same effect on the environment and form is physical characteristics. Cool, yeah, right on the right track there. Let's talk about function now. So this is, what I want you to think about is instead of like the effect on the environment, think about it as like the whole entire behavioral history behind these behaviors. So it's the history of the context and the consequences of these verbal responses. When we talk about like the impact of verbal behavior, this book was when it was first released, it actually didn't get a whole lot of attention. If you're familiar, Noam Chomsky, who was a person who argued a lot versus Skinner. If you don't know Noam Chomsky, like he is a big philosopher. He's still alive. We'll talk about him more a little bit in a sec. But when verbal behavior first came out, it was a pretty like radical change of or like a pretty radical viewpoint or new viewpoint of language. So what this really did is it shifted a linguistic perspective to include both form and function. So before, like we were really only looking at like what words were being said, and now we're looking more at the function. So what is like the history of the usage, and this can be different depending on the individual. It's not always the same throughout like a whole verbal community. So yeah, another like big impact of verbal behavior is that it showed that language is not necessarily innate, but it's actually something that is learned, and that we can explain language through environmental contingencies. And again, a little bit about Noam Chomsky. So this guy, he was the biggest critic of verbal behavior. In my opinion, I think he kind of missed the point of verbal behavior. So what Noam Chomsky argued is that like humans instead, they have a language acquisition device or language acquisition apparatus inside of us. And that's what makes us really special. I think it's a really dumb analysis because it's not pointing to anything objective at all. But this was his argument, and unfortunately, Noam Chomsky actually shut down Skinner pretty hard, where people didn't really look at verbal behavior for a long time. It's a very complicated text, and people just kind of threw it away. So, what actually got Skinner's analysis to be popular was when applied behavior analysis was starting to become more popular. So, at Western Michigan University, AC here, there was a professor there, and his name was Dr. Jack Michael. Dr. Jack Michael picked up verbal behavior, and he's like, wow. Skinner is a friggin' genius. Like, he totally nailed this. And then Jack Michael reoriented a lot of his studies around verbal behavior, kind of repopularized the text. And if Jack Michael didn't do that, we wouldn't have a lot of the assessments that we have today, like the VB map or the ABLES. Or anything like that. So Mark Sundberg, the person who wrote the VB map, was actually a student of Jack Michael's. So you can kind of see the history, like behavior analysis hasn't been around that long. There's just a few generations that separate Skinner from the people who design assessments that we use today. So kind of cool. Noam Chomsky really put a setback in here, but verbal behavior is making its way back. Behavior analysis is getting its way into the cool kids club in psychology, and we just need to work harder to make that a thing. Also, fun fact, Chomsky was recently found donating money to Jeffrey Epstein's campaign, so I don't know if that says anything about his character. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that in there. Anyway, let's move on. Enough of our history lesson. So let's next talk about vocal versus verbal. The easiest way to make this distinction is to focus on vocal. So vocal is behavior that is produced by the vocal cords. So if it's created by the vocal cords, then it's a vocal behavior. Verbal behavior is a wider category of communication. So this is communication mediated by another individual. This could be like gestures. This could be like a text message. This could be talking on the phone. This could be talking in person. It includes all of those things. Cool. Hey there, Jessica. Welcome. Glad you're here. We've got 32 people here now. That is amazing. So I'm planning on giving away a copy of the Beat the Beast mock exam during this. So here's the thing. If we can get to 25 likes on this video, then we'll give away that mock exam. So we've got 32 people here. We're more than capable of reaching our goal right now, but as soon as that counter hits 25 likes, I'm gonna give away a mock exam. So keep an eye on that. Keep telling the people in chat. We gotta like the video so everybody sees it. All right, wow, we're already up to 19. That apparently that's a pretty effective contingency. Cool. We'll keep it up. We're almost there. All right, next up we're going to talk about audience versus speaker roles. Whoa, 23. Whoa, okay, we're popping. So audience versus speaker, I'm glad I got you guys' attention at least. So whenever we're looking at our verbal contingencies, we always want to frame it around the speaker's behavior. So whose behavior are we analyzing and which behavior? We're at 24, just so you know. So what's interesting is very similar to our other basic contingencies is that the verbal behavior of others is going to be a stimulus to the speaker, and If we're looking at the speaker's behavior, then it's going to serve as a stimulus to a different behavior, to a different speaker. So audience, this can either refer to as your current audience, like who is present right in front of you, or this could also refer to like a broader verbal community. So this might be like applicable to anybody that speaks English, for example, or, you know, like if you like different states kind of have like their different slang. So it's like, oh, like people from Michigan would understand. Like I'm still like AC from Kalamazoo here. Like, yeah, people from Kalamazoo would understand for sure. If we talk about the beer exchange, I think only somebody from Kalamazoo is gonna like know about the Kalamazoo beer exchange. So cool. Well, anyway, I'm looking at our counter. We got to 26 likes on this video. So after this slide, we'll go ahead and give away that mock exam. Thank you guys so much for all of your participation on that. Enthusiastic participation too. That is wonderful. If we get to 50 concurrent viewers on this stream, we will give away a second mock exam as well. So, I mean, Crystal's study group had 57 people in it earlier this week. Maybe we could get to 50 just on this stream. I think it's possible. Well, cool. Let's finish the slide and then we'll give that away. So talking about like the audience and as like stimulus control of verbal behavior, again, like your audience might who is currently present might change what kind of verbal behavior that you're going to use. So for example, like I might curse a little bit more in front of my friends, but if it was my grandma around, then I'm probably going to curse a little bit less around her. So that's kind of like the stimulus control of the verbal behavior. When we're thinking about covert verbal behavior, also known as thinking, you are both the audience and the speaker. So it's super weird. It's kind of interesting to analyze because when you're thinking, like like you could say thinking produces a thought that only this person experiences. So you're your own speaker and audience, which is kind of weird. Crazy. Has anybody thought about thinking like that as like you're the own like speaker and audience? I'm interested. Anyway, let's go ahead and give away this mock exam. Here we go. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have everybody pick a number. How about a number between 1 and 250 today? And the closest number is going to win the mock exam. Only one guess per person. If you guess multiple times, you will be disqualified. And if you've already purchased the mock exam, unless you personally want like the second take of it, please refrain from participating in this. I would much prefer that somebody that's here and that needs the mock exam receives it. So again, let's see numbers between 1 and 250. And we'll pick one lucky winner that's here. Thank you guys so much for being here. All right, the number has been chosen. Let's see what you guys got. Ooh, 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 ooh. I see one person's pretty close. All right. Last call. Here we go. So our random number ended up being 193. And I think that puts us at Vivian Castro is our winner. Vivian, can you just confirm that you have not received the mock exam yet? And then if so, I will go ahead and send you another copy of that. Congratulations to Vivian. Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's going to somebody who needs it. Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. Vivian, just send me an email at understandingbehaviorofficial@gmail.com and I will send you your mock exam shortly after the stream. Congratulations. All right. Well, we're at 35 concurrent viewers right now. If we get up to 50, we're not that far away. We'll give away a second mock exam. So hopefully we can do that during this presentation. Congratulations to Vivian. We've got a lot of more cool things coming up here, so stay tuned. Okay, So when we're talking about verbal operants, sometimes this word operant gets really confusing, but the word operant really just means an ABC contingency. So it's kind of like an interchangeable word with a contingency sometimes. So a verbal operant is, again, behavioral contingency that's reinforced by other. Who knows? What is the most common consequence for our verbal operants? Let's see that in chat. So there's one type of reinforcer that is very common for our verbal operants. What is it? Chat, do you know? We got GCR. What does that mean? Can somebody spell it out? GCSR. Ooh. Well, I kind of like that one. Who wants to spell it out? Okay, Tamana, first one spelling it out here. So generalized condition reinforcers. Well, Drew added an S in there. Anybody want to try the one with the S? Is it Nadi? Got generalized condition reinforcer too. Okay, Alexis on that track too. Who wants to spell it out with the S? GCSR. Not stimulus. I'll give you a clue. It's something related to the contingencies being reinforced by others. All right. Yeah, Jessica McElmore's got it. Excellent. Social reinforcement. So GCSR is what we our most common consequence for our verbal operants. This stands for generalized conditioned social reinforcement. Good. Nice job there, everyone. So what we can think about this as is it's essentially like praise, approval, or coherence. So like, let's just look at like a quick example. Like, so you guys are my audience right now, and I'm like, hey guys, like, check this out. I just got the new iPad 20 Max Pro Limited Extreme. It's right here. Check it out. And people will be like, Nick, that's not an iPad Max Pro Limited Extreme version. And it'd be like, oh, yeah, okay. So that behavior, that tact, is actually not given like praise, approval, or coherence. It'd be like, this is a crazy guy. This is not iPad Max. This is a stupid book. Not a stupid book. I'm sorry, a really awesome book. But if I label this as like, yeah, this is a really cool book, then people will agree, or at least you'll understand that, like, what I'm saying, like, yeah, okay, that's a cool book, yeah, sweet. But if I'm like, yeah, it's my iPad Max Pro Limited Supreme Ultra 22, 24 version, then you guys will be like, no, Nick, you're wrong, that's stupid, and that behavior would not receive generalized conditioned social reinforcement, and that's why I usually don't go taunting around my verbal behavior book as, like, the newest, latest iPad. The only exception is the man. So every verbal operant is going to have this consequence, is like that generalized condition social reinforcement, except the man is going to have a specific reinforcer. So the thing is, when we're looking at our verbal operants, that most of the time, like, the consequence is the same. So instead of focusing on the consequence, which is usually what we're looking at with our function of behavior, we're more so looking at the relation between the antecedent and the form of the behavior. So let's go ahead and talk about our verbal operants. We're going to take these one contingency at a time. So we're going to do our ABC. I'm going to ask you to do the entire contingency in your answer. I'll show you an example on this first one. Doreen, I'm so glad that you are here. Welcome, welcome. So let's talk about our man first. Our man, the antecedent, is going to be an establishing operation. So something that's making something more reinforcing or more aversive. The behavior is a request for a specific reinforcer. And then the consequence is receiving that specific reinforcer. So that was our first example for a man. So you might just say like EO, behavior, request for the reinforcer, consequence, specific reinforcer. So let's go ahead and do that for the tact now. What is the antecedent for attacked? Who wants to give that a go? So you can either do just the antecedent, or you could do the full contingency if you're feeling brave. Some people are saying an SD. Tamana says nonverbal SD. Label GCSR. Okay. Leslie says nonverbal stimulus. Okay. Cool, cool. I'm liking where we're going. Let's see some few more answers. And even if you already think like somebody has gotten it right, practicing it on your own, putting that answer in and feeling the feedback is going to help you learn better. So I encourage you to do it even if others have already put their answers in as well. Anybody else want to try the contingency for attack? Cool. Okay, Doreen says seeing the nonverbal stimulus or the item, saying the item, and then getting feedback. Okay. Joe Marlene says nonverbal stimulus. Okay. Drew on the base, nonverbal stimulus, tact, GCSR. Cool, cool. I'm loving all the responding. I'm going to give your name a go. Arianelia? That looks good. SD label GCSR. Let's see what we got here. So the best thing to put here is a nonverbal stimulus. If you said nonverbal SD, I wouldn't say that's inaccurate. So I think that's fine if you went for that. Yes, I think I had it. Arianelia. Yes. Yes, yes. Cool. Okay. The tact is just the label of that stimulus. So a lot of people say like it's just like the site of the item, but no, this could be a stimulus from any sense. So like, ooh, that feels tingly. That would be a tact. Or like, that smells like shit. That's a tact. Or like, wow, that smells amazing. That's also a tact. Or it could be like, this is the worst song I've ever heard. All of those would be tact. They don't necessarily need to be visual stimuli. They can be any kind of stimuli. And then our trend is going to be GCSR. Woo woo. All right, cool. Let's check out our introverbal now. So again, our most important thing is really like the relation between the antecedent and the behavior. But let's see what we got. What is our contingency for our introverbal? Yeah, Eileen's got that generalized condition reinforcement. We want to add that S in there too, that social reinforcement. All right, so we're doing intraverbal contingency. All right, Tamana. Looking good. Yeah, Leslie looks great. Cool, yeah, Gabby, that would be one type there for the behavior. Nice. You guys are killing the antecedent here. Again, that's really the most important part. Nice. A lot of people getting our consequence too, the GCSR. Loving it, loving it. Let's spend maybe 10, 15 more seconds here. Cool, yeah, Doreen, Alexis, nailing it. Michelle, looks good. All right, let's check it out. So with our introverbal, our antecedent is going to be a verbal stimulus. So that's a big differentiator between a tact and an introverbal, is whether it was a verbal or a nonverbal stimulus is our antecedent. The behavior is going to be a related verbal response. And then we have our GCSR. Very nice. So yeah, we had some examples of this. It could be like responding to a question. It could be like a song fill-in. So like Mary had a little lamb, for example. Or it could just be like communication, like back and forth, like, oh my God, that's so interesting. It could be an introverbal response. Let's next talk about formal similarity versus point-to-point correspondence. So with our formal similarity, again, we're focusing on relations between our antecedent and the behavior. And this is that the response form is the same. So it's not just, again, not just like the response form, so whether it's vocal or not, but it's also that the responses are exactly the same. So thinking about formal similarity is with our duplics, which we'll dive into in just a sec. And then our point-to-point correspondence, again, this is we're focusing on relations between antecedents and behavior. And with point-to-point correspondence is that there is a meaningful and exact relation between stimulus and behavior. This applies to our duplics and our codics. So if we're looking at an echoic, for example, like I say strawberry, you say strawberry, those have formal similarity because they are the same thing. It's a vocal response that says strawberry. But let's look at like if we could have point-to-point correspondence without formal similarity, this might be that you type out the word strawberry and now I read the word strawberry. So these things have an exact and meaningful relationship with each other, like the word strawberry exactly lines up with the sound strawberry. But don't have formal similarity with each other because one is written and one is vocal. Gabby's saying these terms always trip her up. Is that making sense, the difference between these now? Did that example help? So again, with formal similarity, same response form and the same exact thing. Point-to-point correspondence is that they are related in a meaningful and exact way. So essentially like letters to sounds are going to be matching up. All right, well, let's look at our duplics first. So our duplics, they have point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity. Let's do our echoic first. We're going to speed through these a little bit faster, but let's get our full contingency for the echoic. So the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. Echoics. Okay, a lot of people saying a verbal SD can be any verbal SD or any verbal stimulus. How about 10, 15 more seconds? Who else wants to give this a go? Okay, Gabby's saying vocal SD. Amy changed to vocal. Why vocal over verbal? Okay, a lot of people switching to vocal now. And I would say that is the right move. This is going to be a vocal antecedent. So again, vocal is something produced by the vocal cords. The behavior is going to be a copy of the vocal antecedent, and then we have GCSR as our consequence. So with our with our echoics, we're copying exactly what it is that is being said. So with echoics, it has to be something vocal, not just verbal. Memetics and copying text will fit the other components of verbal, but echoic is specifically vocal. And remember, verbal could be other things such as like text communication or sign or gesture communication, things like that. All good. This next one, probably a little bit less familiar. Does anybody want to give a memetic a go? I'll give you a hint. Memetic is kind of like an example of a memetic would be like copying sign language. So who wants to try to describe this one? So Amy says gross motor imitation. It's definitely similar to gross motor imitation, but there's a little bit more to it. Who knows that part that's just like, there's just a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more than just any motor imitation. Like, for example, if I touch my nose and then you touch your nose, that's motor imitation, but it's not a mimetic. Tricky, tricky. Yeah, so I said signing is, like, copying a sign would be an example of a mimetic. Gabby says nonverbal SD, getting closer. Let's go ahead and review this. I think I stumped y'all for the first time tonight. So a mimetic is essentially copying a motor verbal stimulus. So that was the component that was missing. It's not just any motor imitation. It's motor imitation of a gesture that communicates something. So for example, if I give you the peace sign and then you give me the peace sign, that would be an example of a mimetic, because peace sign communicates like, yo, how's it going? Or like, laters, I'll see you later. I don't know, I usually use the peace sign for everything, really. So it's a very generalized thing. But if you give it back, then that would be copying my motor verbal stimulus. So again, if I'm just like touching my nose and you touch your nose, like that doesn't really communicate something. But if I give you the peace sign, then you give me the peace sign back, that does communicate something back and forth. That's a verbal behavior rather than just straight motor imitation. Boom. Well, you learned something new every Understanding Behavior live stream, so I'm glad you guys are here for that learning opportunity. Copying text, it really is as simple as it says. Who wants to give the contingency a go for this one? Also, we are at 40 concurrent viewers. Amazing to see everyone turn up tonight to geek out on some verbal behavior. If we get just 10 more, we'll give away a second mock exam tonight. So invite your friends. Let's get them here. All right, Nadie says, is being really brave here, says a written verbal stimulus for our antecedent. Anybody want to agree or challenge that? Tamana says written text, copy a GCSR. Okay, I'm liking it. Bella, written vocal stimulus. Ooh, written and vocal? I think it's kind of, I think it's impossible. We have a paradox there if it's written and vocal. Cool, yeah, Joe Marlena, like it. Good, yeah, Michelle, like where you're going. All right, yeah, Doreen, there you go. Keep it simple. Sometimes it works. I like it. Let's get it. So our copying text is going to be a written stimulus. I like, actually, somebody said written verbal stimulus. Yeah, JoJo, actually, one of my amazing tutoring students, said written verbal stimulus. I think that's actually better than what I have here. So I'm stealing yours, JoJo. It's a copy of that written stimulus. And then we are going to have GCSR for our consequence here. Awesome. Okay, so that is our duplics. So in our duplics, we're duplicating the antecedent. Remember, duplics have both point-to-point correspondence and formal similarity. Now we're going to talk about our codics. So instead of duplicating our antecedent, we're like decoding our antecedent. So these have point-to-point correspondence, but they don't have formal similarity. Let's break down our textual contingency first. Who wants to give that a go? Who's feeling brave? We've got a few people feeling brave. I like seeing new brave faces step up too, you know? That's what's like really cool. Someone breaking out of their shell for the first time. We're like, yeah, I know this one. I'm going to crush this answer. All right, Nadia says vocal stimulus. I think that's for our antecedent here. Anybody agree? Okay, Doreen says textual SD, read it, GCSR. Okay, what are we thinking? Anybody else want to give this one a go? I mean, even if you don't want to, I think you really should. If you're here learning about verbal behavior, like the way to get the most out of this time is be active, get the feedback, even try and fail. Don't be afraid to fail here. It's a safe place. All right, Tamana says written stimulus, reading GCSR. Serena saying written stimulus. Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Cool, cool, cool. Let's check this one out. Great answers. Thank you for all the responding coming through. So this one is going to be a written antecedent. The behavior is reading the text, and then we have our GCSR. So yeah, you can think about textual essentially as reading. So you see text, you read it. What you're saying lines up with the text, and then there's GCSR provided for that. Now let's go into transcription, kind of flipping this around. Let's get our contingency. We'll go a little bit faster on this one. What you guys got? All right, yeah, killing it. Arianelia's got that. Last one. All right, let's see what we got here. Tamana says vocal stimulus, taking dictation, GCSR. All right. Gabby says verbal stimulus, you write the text, GCSR. Okay, we have a little bit mixed here. Verbal stimulus or vocal stimulus? What do you guys think? Yeah, Tia's saying like it's kind of like transcribing in court for sure. Easy way to remember this. All right, people leaning towards vocal stimulus now. I would agree here. So that's going to be our antecedent. We have a vocal stimulus. And again, we don't have formal similarity, but we do have point-to-point correspondence. So this is when we write that response, we're scribing it down, transcribing. And then our consequence here is going to be our GCSR. So again, our antecedent is going to be a vocal stimulus. Is the most important. But you guys are right. It probably is going to be vocal and verbal, just like our textual is probably going to be written and verbal as well. But those are like the main defining features is vocal versus written antecedent here. Awesome. Well, we've got a couple more things to talk about, and then we'll get into our quiz. So we're going to talk about listener responding first. This is responding to the verbal communication of another individual in a specific way. So instead of looking at the speaker's behavior, now we're looking at the audience's behavior and how this was affected by the antecedent and consequence of this. So our contingency is the, like a verbal instruction. The behavior is following that instruction. And then again, surprise to absolutely no one, we have GCSR as our main consequence. So that is our listener responding. This is different from imitation. Imitation would be like if I clap my hands and then you clap your hands. Listener responding would be like I say clap your hands and now you clap your hands. So it's following the instruction. That's a verbal instruction, not just imitation. That's a really easy thing to mix up, especially when you're working with early learners. And it's really important that the early learners get both of these skills. So imitation is absolutely crucial for an early learner. If they don't have that, it's going to be like really difficult to teach them skills later on. And then listener responding is a totally different set of tasks that you kind of have to train following the directions one by one for a while. Yeah, Leslie has another great example there. I say, give me my pen, and then you give the pen. Perfect. Good, good, good. Alrighty. So let's talk about ways that they're going to try to trick you on verbal operants on the exam. And then we've got a quiz, so stay tuned for that. And I'm gonna try to trick you. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna try to trick you. We've got a question real quick. Gabby's asking, is that why SDs are impure for imitation? So yeah, if we're thinking about like an imitation exercise, a little off topic right now, but like imitation, if like a pure imitation is that you only copy the model. And then it would be like less pure imitation if I like provide the model and say do this. But sometimes for some learners, like the do this or copy me is very crucial to like get the imitation to start occurring. So it would be like kind of both imitation and listener responding. It does, like, just because you added do this doesn't make it not imitation. But it is, like, I guess less pure, less natural, but it doesn't necessarily make it like useless. There's definitely a time and place for it. All right, let's talk about tricky stuff. In a lot of the questions, they're going to have multiple verbal responses or speakers in the question. And like we talked about at the very beginning, what you really need to do is stay oriented. Which response is the question asking about? So it's usually like that last sentence of the question is going to have exactly what you need to look at. All right, also, we're at 41 concurrent viewers. That's pretty damn good. We're pretty close to that 50 mark. I think we could give away a second mock exam. So keep getting people here, and hopefully we can give that away tonight. Also, if you throw a like on the video as well, that gets people here. It shows it to more people, and then we get more people here, and then we give away more mock exams. We're at 43 now, 7 people away. So invite your friends. Every person counts. Also with tricky stuff for verbal behavior, they might tell you like the past history, and this might be more relevant than just like the current moment. So for example, like if I say like I need water and then somebody doesn't give me water, then like it's still a man because I've said I need water before in the past, and that has resulted in water. So focus on that past history. Just because like the consequence doesn't occur right in this moment, it doesn't mean it's not whatever operant you think it is. Cool, cool. Oh yeah, we were spamming hearts and cheers here. I'm here for the party. Hell yeah. Okay. There's also like going to be like some weird antecedents. So like for example, this might have like motor communication in an interverbal frame. So like let's just say like you were like talking about like, oh, like there's a guy who's like doing something weird, and you like give a face like that guy. And then like the other person says like, yeah, that guy, or like they give like a big thumbs up. Like that can be weird because it's like motor responses, but we're still working in an interverbal framework because these are still verbal responses even though they're motor. Another thing that you might look at, or like they might try to trick you, is like tacting abstract traits or feelings. So let's just say like I said like, this just makes me think of elephants. Like that's still a tact even though it's a really weird one. So like, even though it's like not really relevant at all, it's still a tact. That one might not get reinforced by your verbal community, but it kind of depends on the context. Also, you might look at disguised operants. So sometimes, like, they'll make you think it's one thing, and it's really another thing. A big example of that is a concealed man. So something that, like, looks like a tact, but it really is a concealed man. You guys all went to college. Like, if you're at a party and there's, like, pizza around, and people are like, that pizza smells really good. And then somebody offers them a slice, that would be called a concealed man because, like, even though it's kind of like we're tacting, like, the smell of the pizza, really, like, the most reinforcing thing about it was receiving a slice of pizza. So that would be more like a concealed man than it would be a tact, or a little bit of a combination of both. All right. Yeah, Serena's asked a quick question. So if someone said something and I give them a thumbs up, that wouldn't be an interverbal, would it? So you actually, no, that would be an interverbal. So if you're like, If it like is today Thursday and then I provide thumbs up, then my response of providing the thumbs up is an interverbal because it's responding to a verbal antecedent. It's a verbal response communicating. GCSR. Yeah, we were hinting we want pizza. Oh, I'm so sad. I meant to start my air fryer before this to make wings. And because they take like an hour to cook, and I forgot to start it. I'm like tempted to do it right now, but that's so sad. Anyway, let's look at our first question. I'm gonna let you guys do this question. I'm gonna start my air fryer. Okay. June grabs her dog's attention and says, "Come here." June's dog comes. What verbal operant did the dog display? Be right back. I'm gonna start my air fryer so I can eat wings before band practice. All right, sweet. What do you guys think? Okay, you guys are responding fast here. Yeah, Alexa's asking a good question for like that concealed man. Is there any good indicator that you would see that like that would show it like instead of attacked? You would have to look at the past history of that behavior. So if like he didn't have a past history of receiving it and he didn't receive it there and there wasn't an EO, then there would be attacked. But if any of those components are there, then it'd probably be more likely to be a man. So like if an EO evoked that behavior rather than like the smell of the pizza evoking that behavior, then it'd be more like a man than attacked. Cool, you guys are nailing this. Way to focus on the right behavior. So we're looking at the dog's behavior. So that's going to be listener responding. The dog is responding to the instruction. Okay, next one. Remy had to run to the bathroom during an important lecture. He asked his neighbor to see their notes real quick to write down. Which verbal operant best describes the writing of the notes? I can take more space on this slide. Cool, answer's looking good. We're a little bit mixed all over the place. All right, a lot of people saying textual, a lot of people saying copying text. Let's check it out. This one is going to be copying text. So we're looking at the writing of the notes as the behavior. So he's looking at the notes and then he's writing down the notes. It's not like the homeboy is like re-presenting the lecture and then he's writing down the notes. He's just copying the notes over. Also, there was a man in here, so he was asking for the notes too. I'm surprised nobody said man, but that's cool at least. It didn't trick you there. All right. Let's look at this next one. Harold asks, want to play ball after school? Jimmy replies, I'm down. Let's do it. Which verbal operant best describes Jimmy's behavior? Yeah, don't miss that copying text. It's so simple, but it's kind of easy to overlook. We're at 43 viewers here, pretty close to 50. All right, you guys are killing it. Perfect. This one is the intraverbal. So Harold asked the question, and then Jimmy responded to it. So when we're looking at Jimmy's behavior, he had a vocal verbal antecedent, and then he responded to it that related. All right. This next one, while stuck in Sandy's dome, SpongeBob croaks out, "Sandy, I need water." Sandy replies, "A wallet, a watch," and does not provide him water. Which verbal operant best describes SpongeBob's behavior? Looking good, looking good. Loving it. Keep it up, crew. All right. Cool beans. This one is going to be a man. So this one's talking about, like, even though if it's not reinforced in the specific moment, this behavior still has a long history of reinforcement of that specific reinforcer. It also occurred under this establishing operation. So he's in Sandy's dome. There's no water here, and he's a sea critter that needs water. So this one is a man. It was evoked by the EO and had a history of reinforcement receiving this very specific consequence, but just did not occur in this very instance. Let's check our next one. Gary is texting while driving when another driver honks at him and flips him off. Gary puts his phone down and flips him off back. Which verbal operant best describes Gary's flipping the driver off? All right, a lot of people saying E here. Does anybody want to break it down? Anybody cool enough for that? I'm loving it. Lots of great answers. Thank you so much for all your participation. I'm glad you guys are at least responding on these quiz questions. Again, that practice is really what gets it out. But if you wanted to make even better use of your time, rationales are the way to enhance that, and definitely makes your answers stick out. For me, I like to call out cool rationales. Cool, Yolanda's talking about like use of signing a little bit with this one. A little bit more though. It's a little bit more than that. Good. Oh yeah, I like what Alexis is saying. That's great. Good. Yeah, Michelle on the right track. Rebecca too. Excellent, excellent. So this one is going to be a mimetic. So what we have here is we have our motor verbal imitation. So throw in this sign that has a very clear meaning. And when that is imitated, then we're looking at that behavior. It had the motor verbal antecedent. The behavior was copying that motor verbal antecedent. And then we had our GCSR where the other person was just as pissed off as he was, making nobody happy. So not the best move. Word. Anyway, great. Love all the rationales here. Yeah, Susan, Atia. Good. Yeah, I love it. Good, 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 good. Let's keep it up. A behavior nerd. We've got a lot of those here. Here's an epic Skinner quote at the Understanding Behavior Study Hall. And here was a quote, "And what a strange discovery for a would-be tyrant that the only effective technique of control is unselfish." And he's referring to reinforcement. And then they write it down for later. Which verbal operant best describes writing down the quote? It's funny, I made this PowerPoint like I think about 2 months ago, and somebody posted this quote. I was just like, yeah, it's going in the PowerPoint. We're talking about Skinner today. Okay, a lot of people saying H, transcription here. And nobody's given any reason for it yet. I don't know. It's kind of weird. We don't have a ton of time though, so we're going to move forward through this one. Hopefully we get some cool rationales on the next one. This one is going to be transcription. So what we had was a vocal antecedent, vocal verbal antecedent, and the response was a written response. So we are transcribing that vocal stimulus down, so that makes it transcription. Very cool, very cool. Okay, we got a few rationales there. That helps make it up a little bit. Yeah, and be very careful there. It's a vocal stimulus, not necessarily a verbal stimulus. Or it is a verbal stimulus, but more importantly, it's the vocal stimulus. Good. Yeah, nice, JoJo. Awesome. All right, let's take our last one here. While riding a roller coaster, Carla says, "I don't feel so good," and vomits on her friend sitting next to her. Getting off the ride, her friend says to Carla, "You need to figure this out, bitch." Carla then finds them a shower and clean clothes. Then they continue riding more coasters. Which verbal operant best describes Carla's response on the roller coaster? Yeah, Torres is asking for the last one, what was the motor verbal antecedent? So that was actually for our first one, was him getting flipped off was the motor verbal antecedent. The second one had a vocal antecedent. Cool, cool, cool. I like where we're going. Yeah, Gabby, cool. Arianella, yeah, great rationale too. Okay, cool. So yeah, Serena, I like where you're going with your rationale. Maybe like like reorient yourself. What behavior is being asked about here? Cool. Yeah, Tamana, I like where you're going. Let's take maybe 10, 15 more seconds here. Yeah, JoJo, perfect. Good. Yeah, there you go, Serena. There you go, Doreen. Cool. All right, excellent. Nice job here, folks. This one is going to be attacked. So the nonverbal stimulus is just the way that she's feeling. I don't feel so good. She labels that stimulus, I don't feel so good. And it's provided that generalized conditioned social reinforcement. Not that like she was, like her friend was excited about this and like gleefully reinforced the behavior, but it's like, yep, I got the message. I'm going to try to avoid it, but gross. So anyway, this one is going to be attacked, labeling how she's feeling that nonverbal stimulus. All right, very cool. Last thing we'll talk about, I still need to make this presentation soon, but soon we're going to do a presentation on RFT, relational frame theory. This is kind of an expansion of Skinner's work. So if you're familiar with Skinner and stimulus equivalence, that's like essentially teaching relationships between stimuli that are equal. So for example, like the word water bottle represents this stimulus, water bottle. So I could also know that like this the stimulus represents the word water bottle. So we have like that derived relationship here. RFT is cool because it can also show relationships that are not just equal, like relationships of different types. So, and the relations can derive in the same ways as stimulus equivalents. So here in this one, our two taught relationships is that we know that Miranda is faster than me and I'm faster than Rupert. So that can also allow us to derive these other four relationships. So, you know, Rupert is slower than Miranda. You would also know, because Miranda's faster than me, that I'm slower than Miranda. So this is different types of relationships, and this is a really huge expansion into like how language develops and how we understand things. It's kind of like relations between different stimuli and how it can generate like these opposite relationships or like what they'll call as like combinatorial entailment relationships. So we will do this in the near future. I don't have a clear date, but I do want to get this out soon for y'all because I think it'll be super fun. Yolanda is asking a very interesting question. Actually, this is kind of a deep question. I don't know if you realize how deep of a question this is, but she's asking, how do you label if the client is nonverbal? So usually this is labeled like if they don't have very much expressive language, but oftentimes there's large like differential gaps between expressive language and receptive language. So I would say to like rule somebody out as nonverbal, there really aren't that many like individuals that are completely nonverbal. But you would say that they don't have any meaningful listener responding and they don't have any meaningful expressive responding, which like most individuals have some. So really, I think that term is kind of like inaccurate, but kind of it's a weird one. I think like that's a topic that would need to be explored more carefully and deeply than I have the time to allow right now. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. Anyway, I hope you guys had fun at this. Thank you guys so much for watching. We unfortunately did not meet our 50 viewer mark this week, but maybe we can meet it next week and give away 2 mock exams. If you would like to purchase the mock exam, you can find it at this link. You can also use the code UBNerd at checkout. You can get 20% off that mock exam. It brings it down to just $32. It is a very high quality mock exam, and there is detailed feedback on every question. Next week, the mini mock packages are coming out. I cannot wait to show you guys. I also cannot wait to just be done writing these questions. They should be out somewhere between next Wednesday and next Friday. Kind of just depends on how well I can get my shit together. But I'm in a good spree, so after band practice, I'm back in my editing zone. So look out for that. It's going to be great. You guys are going to love it. I guarantee it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for coming. This was a blast of a stream. We had some really amazing attendance and participation. And yeah, thank you for being here. Jessica is asking, what's better for testing in 2 weeks, a full mock or a mini mock? Probably both, to be honest. I would take a full mock in like a 4-hour sitting and do that first, and then use the mini mocks to continue practice. Would be what I would do. You can flip that order too. I guess it's not like too particular, but more practice questions 2 weeks from your exam, the better for sure. All right, anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. This was super fun. Hope to catch you next week, and I'll keep you posted on those mini mocks. Hopefully we can like run like some kind of like flash sale during the stream next week or something. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best, and hope to see you next week. Keep working on understanding behavior. Peace.